save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Radio and discover how they can help you to do your best work. That's Dell.com/radio.
Welcome to another great edition of Younger Life. I'm Rick Federici.
And I'm Mary Anthony.
So today it's exciting.
I know.
This is really a cool show. I'm getting ready to jump aboard some wonderful folks, community pillars, right here in our Younger Life live studio.
I know. Today. I've really been looking forward to this one. I love learning. You call me the nerd.
Yeah, I do.
I love learning, and I love learning about new things. And so this is really interesting to me.
All right, so let's introduce our wonderful guests today here in the Younger Life Live studios. Ladies, if you wouldn't mind, without further ado, we'll start over here to my right. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Dr. Diane Spoljoric, and I'm a professor of nursing at the current Purdue University North Central, but soon to be Purdue University Northwest in Westville. And I've been a nurse for over 35 years.
Wow.
And I've been in education about 26 years. And I'm also a family nurse practitioner for about 20 years. And so I'm always a nurse first.
Wow,
that's
I
great.
mean, you've done it all then in the field pretty much. My goodness, that's so cool.
And alongside of you?
Tough act to follow, but I'm Peggy Rose. I'm an associate professor of nursing in the same institution. So what is currently Purdue University North Central, soon July 1st to be Purdue University Northwest, or PNW. And I've been a nurse for just a few years longer than Diane, so closer to 40 years.
Wow.
I'm also a nurse practitioner for 12 years. I teach community health nursing, and I also work at the LaPorte County Public Health Department with infectious diseases. And I'm happy to be here.
Wow, this is
We
great.
love the health department. We had them
yes.
on.
I have to echo that. If you want to know anything about travel immunizations or anything about immunizations at all, they are the go-to resource for anybody and everybody. They have the most current information.
I think that's fabulous.
I want to throw this out there to you ladies too, because I'm so excited that my daughter Devin, who just graduated high school as a 4.0 kid, and I'm so proud of her. Her field, or what she'd like to get into, is nursing. What side of it, I don't know, but I'm on like 100% dad. You do what you got to do. She is so excited. Can I ask, what turned you ladies onto that? Was that something as young ladies, young women, young professionals, that both of you wanted to jump into that career? Or is it something that you kind of found out as you were going to college and school?
Well, when I was a freshman in high school, and I'm a product of Catholic education all the way through, even through my undergrad degree at Loyola in Chicago. In freshman year of high school, the Good Sisters took us down to what was then Columbus Cuneo Cabrini Hospital in Chicago. And the nun was talking about what it was to be a nurse, and it was at that moment then that I said, that's what I want to do. So it's been since then. So kind of worked my way up, worked in the hospitals on the weekend as a nurse's aide, did the bed baths and bedpans and the whole thing, and have been in nursing ever since and love it.
Wow.
Doctor, how about yourself?
I probably had it more fall upon me. I was a nursing aide, when I was working, but I was non-traditional, went to high school, graduated when I was 16 because you could cut a year off if you wanted to.
Wow.
Didn't go back to school. My family, I was the first college graduate in my family, which is not, unusual for our generation. Women had some roles that they would be doing, teacher, nurse, secretary, and they were venturing out more in the 70s, but that was still a pretty brand new thing. And so going to college wasn't exactly where I thought, or I didn't know what I was going to do. So after I moved out, I went to South Suburban now, but it used to be called Thornton Community College in South Holland. And I started taking classes with the intention of going into physical therapy. And physical therapy was going to be a cool thing. And, I would go away and it's all that good stuff. And to be a volunteer in physical therapy would look good on the application. So I went to go do that, and they were excited and I was excited, and they asked me when I could start on the weekend or during the week, Monday through Friday. I said, well, I go to school, full time. They said, well, our weekend program is about an 8-month waiting list, and that kind of thing.
Wow.
And I was so devastated. I went out to the car, ripped up the application,
Oh.
looked at my credits and said, well, those will all work for nursing. So, and then I became an associate degree nurse who went back for her baccalaureate, who went back for her master's, who went back for her nurse practitioner, and then went back for her PhD. And I finally finished school when I was age 50 with my PhD from Rush University.
That's amazing.
So,
though. I mean, honestly,
lifelong
that's fabulous.
learning is our mission and
Awesome.
philosophy at Purdue
great.
Northwest. So
I think that's what I love about that, and I find that very inspiring because I too, I started college. My husband and I got married. I was still in school while I was pregnant with my oldest, and when she was born, I couldn't leave her. I couldn't bear to leave her, and not only that, then you run into who's going to take care of her and trying to still take care of household stuff and work. So I just stopped for a while and said, when the kids get bigger, I will go back. So I love the concept of the lifelong learning. I feel like as you know yourself too, you start doing something and it just changes. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it might be your choice, but it's kind of how you evolve yourself. And then you do find things that you like better and know more of. I started college, I shared this with Rick, as going for accounting. And then I worked in accounting for a little while, just part-time, but it was after I had already stopped and realized this is not me at all. This isn't, although I love numbers, I kind of like the thing, it's just not who I am. And I feel like that's just part of maturing and aging. And so I love that concept, lifelong learning. It certainly is. And you can go back at any age. And we're very lucky in our community to have PNW right here with us, and there's so many options there. So
What I think
that's
is neat
amazing.
too is our theme, ladies, and you know this, Younger Life is the whole journey. It doesn't matter if you're the youngest of years or the wisest of years. Keep it going. I've said that to a lot of my friends as I'm 50 this year, and I see a lot of my friends and it's weird with this generation because there are some of us, I've been in radio and TV 32 years. That's what I wanted to do. Even in high school, I was DJing. I'm still doing a million other things on the side. But the goal in my life was to buy and own my own radio stations. And I was 22 years in Chicago in radio and TV. That whole time I was saving my money, investing, and I have wonderful brothers too who are traders. And together we put our talents together in different things, but it was that journey. People would laugh and say, you're not going to do that. Well, 20 some odd years later, the good Lord, thank you, Lord, the big G I call him, allowed me to do that. And then the next goal was to, I want to continue adding different things in my life. That is so awesome. Your stories. That to me is what life is all about. And I tell my daughters that, and I say to friends, guys, it's a new chapter. If you want to take a little turn here, or if you want to go back, or if you want to continue, do it.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody stop you.
Well, that's what I tell my kids. My oldest daughter now is, she's getting ready to turn 16 and she's going into her junior year of high school. And she's so nervous about it. She said, I didn't want my sophomore year to end because now I feel like I have to start making real choices. And I said, don't let that scare you. It's true, you do. And she too is a brilliant student, which, thankfully. And so she has a lot of options. And I say, don't let it scare you to make choices. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay. The point is just keep going. That is certainly a regret I had now. Obviously, hindsight is not just powering through, because I would have, had I still been going and then started working in the accounting like I did, I would have been able to, change that out very easily. Which now it's scarier. When you wait a long time, it's a lot scarier. But I told her, don't worry, it's okay to change your mind as long as you're still going and you're doing it. You're going to know what you like better, or say, ooh, I really thought this, but it's just not me, and that's okay. I think that's great. And I love PNC. I think it is a beautiful campus, and it is, it's obviously quality you're getting a quality degree there that you can't get just anywhere. And I really think it says a lot. But I know their nursing program is so sought after.
Yes.
You know,
we're
it really
very
is.
proud of our nursing program. And the history of our nursing program is we were a totally an associate degree nursing program since its inception. We're coming up on 50 years of, you know, being in the public, in the community here. And they then, as baccalaureate nursing has really become the degree of choice. Although I'll share with you, I graduated in 1982 as an associate degree, and they said the same thing then, that they were going to
really?
outlaw the associate degree. We would just be reclassified, and that debate continues to go on. And unfortunately, the states that have tried to go all BS all the time, they had to rescind it because they did not have the amounts of nurses that are
Really?
needed. You know, you talk about your age. I'm going to be 58 in October. You know, so that AARP that we used to laugh about and rip them up, you know, when it
Yes.
came in the mail. Now you're looking at that going, and I love the journey they're taking to explore the new opportunities in our life. And nursing gives that person so much flexibility. And again, men constitute about 9 to 10% of the people that are involved in nursing, which is still very small. And we're working to get that better. But it's still primarily a female dominated profession. And for females, again, we're talking traditional stuff here. We know that the face of the family is completely different, and single dads and you know, I know all that. But traditionally, the mom is still the person who's having the kids and having to be at home or do things like you chose. And nursing gives us such flexibility to work full-time, part-time, evenings, nights, weekends. Who would have thunk that I want to work the weekends? People do, because their significant others are working during the week and they juggle babysitting and stuff. So nursing gives you that family flexibility, and it also gives you professional flexibility. I know that, you know, we're all examining our careers all the time. Where are we going to be tomorrow? I could go anywhere I want in the whole United States and internationally, probably. And not just because of a PhD. Nursing could get me that. And we have students all the time that are coming back that they just went into traveling nursing, and they're going now, you know, to different parts of the country for 6-week jaunts. So nursing gives you a lot of flexibility, and I think it's a very rewarding profession, and it's not a bad gig to support your family if you have to have that as well, because, you know, I can't steer people into something that's not going to allow them to put bread on the table.
Right.
And nursing still currently, at least, you know, gives a pretty decent wage and benefits. You know, that's really the key as well in today's, you know, healthcare costs.
Peggy, what's your thought on that?
You know, ditto everything that
No,
I mean, honestly,
I love
everything
your
she
team.
said.
You guys are awesome.
yeah, no. So I was, you know, I also went to a diploma program, Illinois Masonic Hospital in Chicago, 27 months. So I came out. It was similar to like the associate degree. And then I went back to Loyola in Chicago. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for about, 15 years. And then decided to go back to Valpo University for my master's in nursing, and then also my family nurse practitioner. So,
wow.
yeah.
Was that
so,
scary for you too? I mean,
well, you know, the interesting, I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I chose, honestly, the path of least resistance. You know, that was Valparaiso University was my first phone call. And one of the questions that I asked them, I said, you know, do you require the GRE, which is that graduate record exam that you have to standardized exam to get into a master's program.
Okay.
And the person who I talked to said, no, we gave those up for Lent. And I said,
sold, right?
I did, sold. I mean, I had 4 young children.
Yeah.
I had a high maintenance husband at the time. I don't have him anymore.
Because he was high maintenance.
Because he was high maintenance.
This is the high maintenance. No one wants high maintenance.
So I had those 4 young kids, and I thought, you know, I needed to do something that was easy to do. And driving to Valparaiso from Michigan City instead of driving into Chicago to go to a program, I mean, it just made sense.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Can I ask how long that program itself took?
Sure. So the master's program was 2 years, and then the nurse practitioner was another 6 months on top of it.
That's fantastic, though.
You guys,
I mean,
that is
you should be
incredible.
so proud of yourself. It really is
agree.
inspiring.
Thank you.
I think it is, especially to hear from women. No offense, Rick, but you know,
None
to hear
taken.
from women, it really is, especially the you know, knowing you took that time out with the kids. That's really hard to do, and it's really hard to come back from if you know, you have to really be driven. And I think that is incredible. I love that. And I mean, to keep going further, it's just crazy and so amazing.
For the record here, you know how I feel about this. You know, behind every good man is a great woman.
I know, you're so good
And
about that.
I'm all about my wife, and she's a very successful business professional.
Mm-hmm.
As I say to my daughters, please, in life, mom and dad aren't going to be around, and I drill it into their head, please, you know, grab what you can do. And you know, my
Mm-hmm.
one daughter Carly, who's 22, has her cosmetology degree. She took a different path, and she's got all this side of life. But now her love of life and her love, even in high school, was the young children, and she's going back for another degree in secondary education.
Yeah.
And she's working, and she pays all her bills, and she's a career woman. And Devin, she works her butt off, and she's saving for this and that, and she got a great scholarship, you know, to help us all out.
Yeah.
But I always say in life, you know, don't always have to count on that guy.
That's it.
Because, you know, I'm the first person to say that I want my ladies and my young ladies and, you know, my daughters to say, I can do it myself. I don't need
Independent.
any guy, because guys are jerks.
Well, you know, and it doesn't even, I have,
I
you
mean,
know,
I'm just being honest.
well, I mean, and I have girls and boys, and I want my boys to know too
Yes.
that you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. Just like the boys are the youngest out of my kids. It's girls and then boys. So they think that women rule everything because
Good job.
they just
Right,
know. I mean,
right,
they do.
right,
They
right.
just see. You know, they know. Oh, you know, of course, mom and dad are both the boss, but mom's the one. My husband works his butt off, so I can be home. You know, primarily with the kids and so big sisters. They just. So my poor boys think that girls make all the rules for everything. But so I want them to know too, they can do whatever they want to, but I want my girls to always be independent and
Absolutely.
know that you can't, you know, you don't ever need to find yourself stuck feeling like you're stuck with high maintenance husband that, you know, you don't
Seriously.
need anymore.
No,
I mean, it's
right.
important to know and that they can support themselves and their families if they need to and
And this
do
is
whatever
a
they
whole
want
different
to.
generation.
Absolutely.
And it
I
has
mean,
been for many decades, but truly.
my oldest is very interested in traveling, and we did discuss nursing as an option. You can really go anywhere. That's one of the biggest draws. Of course, you have to be a compassionate person and want to help people at the base of nursing. But aside from that, one of the benefits is the versatility. You can go anywhere and be put in so many different situations. Nurses are in every aspect of any sort of healthcare at all. I mean, everywhere. A school nurse, you know, you like school hours being a teacher, like you mentioned. You could be a school nurse and have school hours, you know, and vacations and stuff like that. And just, there's so much flexibility in there. That is the biggest draw. But the traveling, I told her, really think about that. You could go anywhere and do that. And I didn't consider the actual, you know, 6 weeks here or there. I just thought in general, wherever she wanted to go. But is that a real common thing now where?
Yes, it's called traveling nursing, and there's
Okay.
different companies throughout the United States. And just because, again, Facebook and allowing
Yeah.
us to keep in contact with our graduates, I know of at least one graduate who's graduated several years ago, came back for her RN to BS when we had that program, and she's always saying she's in California now or in Nevada, or
Wow,
and they're
see?
6 to
Yeah.
8 weeks,
Yeah.
12 weeks. Actually, another one too. So they're out there. They get housing. They'll be put up. It just depends on the company. But
Right.
I've never done it that far. I used to be a traveling nurse, but we used to it's just like pro tem or local kind of things.
Right,
But going
right.
to different. You have to be adaptable.
Absolutely.
But again, nursing. I think in healthcare, I think you're going to see a lot of options for your daughter, for your son.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you empowering your son to see that women do have a voice and a vote will carry over to help this next generation, because there's still the glass ceiling is still there, and
Yeah.
I actually think it's concrete, but it's still there, and women still are paid 75 cents less to the dollar than their male counterparts in different professions, and I don't quite understand that. I don't know why we even stand for it, take up our swords or whatever.
I know, that truly doesn't
I don't
make sense.
understand
I mean,
that.
it
And
doesn't,
everyone
yeah.
talks about their pay like it's some big secret. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. But so I do think, though, nursing is going to be still a decent field. And we're happy that, PNW is going to continue to provide those students in the region here with a quality nursing education. And the benefit for the unification is that we will now have a master's program
Really?
affiliation and even the DNP, which is a newer degree called the Doctorate of Nursing Practice. I have a PhD, which is a nursing research doctorate. I also happen to be a clinician by trade, so I kind of have the best of that. But the DNP is more of a clinical track into the doctoral level, kind of the counterpart you would call a MD.
Really?
So
Okay.
like that person that is a clinical doctorate versus doing the true research. So we'll have that program
Wow.
as well. That's newly being developed as a consortium with Purdue University, West Lafayette, and IPFW, and then I think we're going to break off onto our own at some point. I'm not sure though.
Well, yeah,
that's
someday.
great
That's just
information.
amazing,
It
though.
is.
Can you kind of give us an idea for someone that might be interested in nursing, no matter what their age is, about coming back to school or beginning right out of high school?
Sure.
What is the process? Kind of, do they come and they start? It's automatically an associate program, then it goes to, or can you pick from right from the beginning to say, I'm going all the way, I'm going to go right for my master's? I mean, do you do that? How does it?
I'll let Peggy address this
Okay.
one.
Well, there are a variety of programs, and depending on what your need is, there are some who do have that associate degree, and Diane was talking.
Ivy Tech
Ivy
still
Tech
currently
is the
and
2-year.
Scylla.
So then, in order to get your bachelor's on top of that, they call it like the 2+2. So you have your RN, which means you're licensed to practice, but you don't have the baccalaureate degree. So you go back an additional 2 years to get your baccalaureate degree. They call that the RN to BS program, of which we've had a very successful one for the past 12 years out at PNC. But now with PNW, all of those courses are being shifted over to the Calumet campus.
Oh, okay.
And it's a totally online program. But in terms of which path you want to take, you can surely go from having that associate degree and jump right into a master's degree.
Wow.
Or you can do the associate degree into the baccalaureate degree and then go on from there. Or you can get the baccalaureate degree and go straight into a PhD or a DNP program.
Options are
So
incredible.
the
They
options
really-
are,
they're
they
endless.
really are. And then
They
there's
really
something
are.
that's even called the accelerated program.
Okay.
And those would be for individuals who have a degree in another field already.
Oh, okay.
Valpo has a program, Calumet has a program. I know the program in Valpo is you go summer, fall, spring, and summer, and then you'll be eligible to sit for licensure in that state,
Wow.
in this state. So
Does that have to be, if your other degree, does it have to be health related?
not at all.
That's
Could be
incredible.
art history.
But you
Wow.
would still say you came in with art history, which
Yeah.
is your liberal arts or whichever kind of degree. And if you didn't have the required sciences, you would definitely have to do that, because those are the cornerstone of what we do
Certainly.
in our field. So, but if you did have them and your biologies and all that, then you would just come in as accelerated, and you could go a lot faster. These are all when you talk about full time, but there are part-time options as well. And there's just a plethora of things out there. Universities, this online, I'm getting more and more nurse practitioner students who come to precept with me who are doing online programs, and it's completely online.
Yeah, that raises a great question, Peggy, when you mentioned online. How do you, I'm assuming there still has to be clinicals and stuff. I mean, you got to have hands-on to complete it, but so the majority of the classes, can you tell us a little bit about how you find that balance between what is clinicals and labs and stuff versus just your online? I mean, is it just prereqs that's online, or most of the program?
It can be the whole of the program is online.
University of Phoenix is completely online,
Right.
all the way
Wow.
from
And they
entry
do
level
nursing?
to PhD. Yes, they do.
And they then have to take the responsibility for finding those preceptors, as Diane was talking
Okay.
about, who will be there to guide and mentor them in terms of monitoring their clinical practice.
Do you feel, being the professionals that both of you are and going through it, and I say and I'm going to use the utmost respect to everybody and just no disrespect, but you guys did it the real way. You did hands-on. You did it, in a
Brick and
clinical-
mortar.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
for saying it. How would someone in your position, looking at all these folks, I know it's an equal opportunity first and foremost, but do you look at that a little bit differently when someone does it online? Because I know that the prereqs, that's cool, that's fine. But now you're getting into a whole other side of life. What's your feeling on that, the whole online thing? If you don't mind me asking.
I think I have old-fashioned thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. That's
I think I do. I mean, I do.
So do
In
I.
all honesty,
And I think I myself prefer to learn in a setting where
Agreed.
I can have the feedback, the face-to-face.
Yes.
And I believe that there's something to be said about the emotional content, if you will, of what you get when you are sitting there in a classroom with other individuals who are perhaps they're going through the same thing that you're going through at the same time. And I believe I learned better that way, but this is not something that I grew up with for it to be
Yes.
online.
right.
So those that have grown up with a lot of this online, it's perfectly fine for them. And they're getting what they need.
That's thank you. That was perfectly said.
And there's a difference between the classroom learning and we call it didactic, the lecture learning, that type of learning, versus the clinical learning, the practicum learning, the going to the bedside. That is not replaceable by online.
Right.
Now we do have simulation. We have simulated people they're computerized people that can talk to you. They can sing the Purdue fight song.
Wow.
They can tell you to get out of my room.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing. So we can do some playing, but there's nothing like touching another human
Right.
being to learn about that. And it really not about all the technical stuff, just the laying on of hands onto another human being in the caring manner that we have to become accustomed to is a learned behavior.
Yes.
And to then be worried about all the illnesses and how their skin can deteriorate. There's so many variables. So just that simple act of holding someone's hand in a birth situation or a death situation, you cannot read about that.
Right.
You can, but you cannot see it. You
can't
can't feel
feel
it.
it.
Feel
Well, right,
it. You're
we've
actually
Right.
there.
Right.
And, it's not about physically crying with people, because I don't want to insinuate you have to have tears on your face,
Right.
but it's that emotional crying with people,
Yes.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
sharing of their soul, that vulnerability. And I think when I really reflect on what nursing is and does and can be, it really just gets down to that simple part of holding someone's hand while they're going through whatever it is they're going through. And then, yes, I
bad.
hope I'm good enough. I can do the CPR. I know how to do the medications. All that, to me, all that is that since I care, since I really care, I assume I have all that then. Because if I know how to do it, it's because I care. If I
Yeah.
stay in tune to the latest evidence, it's because I care. So it's really about being caring person first, and then the rest of it, you'll learn harder, you'll study more, you'll work because I care.
Right.
That's
that
what
makes
drives
perfect
me.
sense, and actually, I mean, is really beautiful. I think that's so true. We discussed the power of touch before, and I think there's something that's my biggest concern, I guess, with the online. I mean, knowledge-wise, they're still getting exactly what they need. Like you said, I just worry that's something that you have to be in person to know, to touch, and to know how to be sympathetic appropriately, be sympathetic, and just feel. I know I joke. It's kind of a joke in the family that I feel the weight of emotions of people. I do. I feel when people are sad or. And that's something that you can't learn by reading. You have to just experience it, and I think
You
that
have to
is
practice it.
right. And you practice your response to that. I think that's really good. So at least if someone does do online, though, like you said, they are observed. So it's their responsibility then to do. Are they volunteering? Is that what you're doing?
And again, I can't, maybe Peggy does know more, but I can't really speak to how a baccalaureate program does it completely online. But entry into practice, we'll call
Right.
it. I don't know how entry into practice does it, because I see challenges that if every student had to go find their own preceptor, Right now we take 8 students to the hospital under our wing. We there's one of us, 8 of them, and I don't know how much the healthcare system's going to be able to absorb one-on-one precepting, but that's not my problem today.
Right.
I do see firsthand, and we do have an online master's program now with P&W nursing curriculum, and it's all online. The clinical component has to be arranged. It's very strict guidelines. We have to contact preceptors. They have to send in resumes. They have to have I've been on both sides. So I am a preceptor for Georgetown University, Ball State University,
nice.
Places that have master's programs. But remember, those students are licensed already.
That's right. They've
They're
already
already
gotten
an
that
RN.
far.
Now I'm watching them become a nurse practitioner.
That's right.
So it's
that
a
makes
different,
perfect
and they
sense.
come to my clinic and we work together. And we've had some master students who were getting their master's in nursing education, and they followed our faculty.
Yeah.
So yes, the clinical component is still there, and at the master's level, and even for my doctorate, because I have a research doctorate and a clinical. I had to do clinical. I had to go, I did sleep research. So I had to go to a sleep study place and sit there and, watch the people and all that. So clinical is still we call it clinical or practicum, is still very much involved in nursing. And how the schools that are only online do it at the entry level, I'm actually excited to find out about that. That's going to be, you're going to start seeing that as the next generation.
Yes.
You use the term brick and mortar, and when all this first, again, 26 years in education, and plus being in school since I was in kindergarten, I've been exposed to a lot of different things, and we would say, brick and mortar, and these online programs, I think what's going to happen, you're going to see, maybe not in our generation, but it's going to be pretty soon, what's a brick and mortar place?
Right.
I do. I just think that the concept will be, because actually right now, going back to P&W is not brick and mortar. P&W is up here because we have 2 campuses. Those are the brick and mortar. You have your Westville campus and you have your Hammond campus. But P&W itself exists up there in an umbrella to both of the sites.
That's a great point.
So
it is,
I
and
think
it
it's
really is
interesting.
exciting. I mean, the when there was first talk about it, I would hear and I would think, why? But then the more I do hear about it, the more options are available to the students coming in, to the existing students already there. I mean, I think that's fantastic and really exciting.
You'll hear more reports as you get, as we July 1st become official. But P&W will be the 5th largest university in the state of Indiana.
Really?
That brings a lot of power. That brings a lot of power at the bargaining table when we're working with legislature to get funding. From recent information that I've been told, scholarships have increased almost to the $500,000 to $600,000 level for our campus, which has quadrupled or five-drupled, whatever that would be.
Wow!
So that funding sources, when and if we become better as we continue to grow as a research, neither the P&W will not be a R01 research institute yet. But that certainly lays the pathway for bringing those type of faculty that want to do more research and hopefully, moving into that. But even at our level, we'll get more funding opportunities for doing research. It should be a bigger international draw for the programs that are international. So, again, P&W, it's going to be a powerhouse. And it's, as you've seen the signage, it will be the pride of Northwest Indiana. And we've always been the pride of North Central region of Indiana. So I know that we will continue to carry on that torch and make P&W one of the strongest institutions in the Northwest Indiana and the whole state, really. I think our mission says Indiana and beyond.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it really gives
neat.
you that, it's endless.
It's fascinating. Can you tell me, Peggy, as far as students coming in every year, I know that it's a highly sought after program. So how many students can you take every year to entry level into the nursing program? And what happens to those students that maybe didn't get in?
Good questions. We admit twice a year, which is different than the Calumet campus. The Calumet campus admits one cohort just once a year in the fall. We admit twice a year, so we admit for the fall and we admit for the spring, and we will offer enrollment to 50 students each time. So what we have now, though, is because we've changed our curriculum from what we did have as PNC to what we now have as PNW, we are admitting those high school students that you talked about.
Yeah.
We are admitting those high school students directly into the nursing curriculum.
Wow.
So they come in as a freshman already with, and the beauty of this is that already with the guarantee, if you want to use that term, that they are in the nursing program.
Okay.
Different from other universities.
Yes.
So this is something for your daughter to think
Devin,
about.
yes.
Yes. And I know that St. Mary's in South Bend will do the same thing, because you can go to a school that offers enrollment, but they do it only after somebody completes those first 2 semesters in their freshman
Wow.
year. So you could go down there and be in the pre-nursing curriculum, and there's no guarantee that you are going to be accepted into the nursing program. So to be able to offer students enrollment directly into the nursing program, I think is a real plus.
It is. Do you have any idea how many people actually apply to the nursing program then on average those 2 times a year?
Oh, it's very competitive.
What happens to those if they
Oh,
get
so
rejected?
the question is, so if they
Yeah,
get,
do
so
they-
one thing that we started at PNC, and this was probably about 6 years ago. Would you
The health
agree?
study.
The health study. About 6 years ago, we became the Department of Nursing and Health Studies.
Okay.
So individuals who were not offered enrollment into nursing were then able to use the classes that they took to get into the program towards a degree, and that degree would be health studies.
Wow, that's
I see.
actually
Which that-
excellent. That
And then,
really
you know,
is.
the
It is.
parents
It's
actually,
great.
the parents were very happy about that, because then it was not all for naught, that they were
That's
spending that time and money and energy to
I'm
go to
with you on
school
that. That's
and
awesome.
not know what to do with that information then.
Right, right.
So now we can sit down and advise them.
I think that's great. I wanted to ask you too, because I've been privy, and I know that you and I bonded with some of the studies through the years. I was blown away just as an individual watching some of the young individuals work with you, specifically in classes where I actually was over at the campus and watched some of these studies and some of these things that you have put together. Can you expand on that? Because I really would love for people to hear some of the coursework and some of the things that you have done, you and your team of colleagues there, with some of these individuals, because you just sit there and I go from one to the next. I'm like, wow, this information is great. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I'm the course coordinator for community public health nursing. So I think some of what you're talking about are some of those community activities that
Yes.
we've had through the past few years. We've done a lot of health fairs in the high schools. We've been to LaPorte High School, Westville High School, Rolling Prairie, and we've been invited to come, and we're going to South
You
Central.
did, you
Yeah, I
went.
did South Central, and now we're going to Rolling Prairie. That's what it is. This coming fall. And another thing that we've done is we've put on disaster preparedness fairs at St. Anthony Hospital, Michigan Franciscan St. Anthony. And this would be a disaster preparedness fair for the faculty, for the staff, the employees, as well as for the community to come in and talk about things that are related to being prepared in the event of there being a mass disaster. And then another thing that the students have done in community public health is they do a very large, in-depth community assessment. So we were structured in LaPorte County, and the students would go out into all of the little cities and towns, LaPorte, Michigan City included, Union Mills, where else? Knox. Well, Knox is in Stark, but yes. So
we also try to not cater, but we do want to consider where the students live.
Sure.
So, because part of it is, well, you can learn all you want about Michigan City, but now you're going to go work in Knox. To be a true representative, you want to know what's in your community. So Professor Rose has been very flexible to allow people to do what's needed for not only the projects and the assignments, but what's going to best meet the needs of the student as we prepare them to go out in and be a nurse. So they want to know about stuff in their community. So they do this assessment.
Large community assessment. And another thing about the community assessment is that it's a win-win-win. So it's for the students, and it's for the community, but it's also for the acute care facilities. So for LaPorte Hospital and for Franciscan St. Anthony, because under the Affordable Care Act, these hospitals are required to do a community-based assessment every 3 years in order to maintain their 501c3 status under the IRS tax code. So what we have done is we've taken that information, we do this large community assessment as well as they did, and then given that information and the assessment that we do and the identification of need, a subsequent semester of student nurses would then take those problems that have been identified and go out into the community and develop and implement plans and programs that they've put together. You know, and I think everybody would agree that we do have a substance abuse problem in LaPorte County. And the thought is that we need to get into the schools at a much younger age, starting in 4th and 5th and 6th grade, before the students actually begin to use the drugs.
I think it's
For
incredible.
prevention.
Yes.
And you know, with this community project, then you know you want to talk about the really caring, and you know that's hard to teach. You have to know you care. I think that is a perfect way to kind of instill that in one of the students. Is you know they care, they wouldn't have been into a nursing program at all. But when it does involve their own community, people that they know, people that they neighbors, family. I mean, just family, friends, just you know, family of your friends, you know, it hits home at such a deeper level, I think, and really nurtures that. I think that's brilliant. I think that's fabulous. And I mean, you guys should be so proud. These students too have to come out of this so much better than another school might offer when they don't have that same community involvement.
Yes,
Or they're just
and-
placed at any hospital, you know, I think that's just really
And
different.
Professor Rose has such a community connection. I don't think she can go anywhere without somebody knowing her, or knowing about
good
her.
thing.
It is a good
very
thing.
I've not heard one negative thing, and if they did, I'd give them the what for.
Well, thank you.
But yes, and part of it is because, and again, I take a lot of the RMBS students out, the completion students, and we were working with the Head Start group, and they would go in and teach. The Head Start is a wonderful program for the people who have qualified by money income, and the involvement, though, the parents have to be involved at board. They have to come to monthly meetings, and it's a very well structured program through the Genesis Corporation out in Maribel, and they go everywhere. So we went to the Head Start schools and we gave nutritional education. And what I had them do, instead of buying a textbook for my course, because mine is mostly a clinical course, it's the exit course to get out with the RMBS finished. I said, instead of that, you have to buy the food, and they had to do cooking demos and for the
That's
children
genius.
and their parents, and we tried to focus on low calorie, healthy snack choices. And the students were, I let them loose. They had to research the food, which is a learning. They had to research what to feed and how preschool kids, because again, you still think about
Yep.
chokables, and so
Absolutely.
you had to. Now we have to think about allergies, with the peanuts, and oh my gosh, everything now. So it was a real learning situation, and they went out and educated at the Head Start level, and it's amazing what kids remember. I'm very involved in a program called Camp New Happenings, which is a camp that we have at Camp Alexander Mack in Milford, Indiana. It's just held there. But it's for children who one or more parent is incarcerated. The prison is a big issue that is often unrecognized and not paid attention because there's a stigma associated
Very
to
true.
people who broke the law. Well, those people still have families,
Right.
and they're affected. So every year we have a camp where it's free for the children of these parents, and they come and have a week free time of fun and camping, and camping in a building, but still,
Yeah.
and they have a good time. And I go every year. I've been doing it for 5 years, and the 1 year I teach nutrition all the time because we get to eat at this cafeteria type thing, and I teach them about nutrition, and the nurses lunchtime teaching is I'll teach them about things. So I went back the next year, and I was talking my spiel that I have, and I said, so why you have to always try new foods every so often? And the little boy raised his hand. He goes, I know. And I said, why? He goes, because your taste buds change every 3 years.
Aww.
And I said, well, how do you know that? He said, you taught me that last
Aw.
year.
Yeah.
And I mean, that little tiny sentence made my heart just go,
Yes.
oh my gosh, that's why I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
That is
one
so
little
sweet.
thing
Awesome.
that
That
the
gives
little
me goosebumps.
9-year-old boy remembered. So the children will remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I think nurses have a unique opportunity to interact with them in the school systems as the nurse. And you mentioned the health department, nursing, and giving the pediatric clinics, and we have such an opportunity to teach about obesity and nutrition and smoking and drug awareness, and it's going to get to sexual stuff, and you've just, if you don't know, how can you be held accountable for what you do? And there's a lot of negative influences out there, as well. So nursing, to try to be a positive influence, I think is neat, to show the students what they can do. And
There's so many partners that are involved in this event that the hospital has set up, and it is such a resource of information for so many people. I keep saying, I think this is wonderful. I hope that they are busting at the seams with people, because there's so many chances to learn more. And knowledge is power. We say it all the time. You have to seek sometimes you have to dig for it, but when you do find it, especially in an area like that where there is so many different people going to be partnering, the Edith House will be there, which is so cool. We toured that, for fire safety and fire awareness. It opens the door for a conversation you need to have with your kids anyway, and sometimes you forget, or you think that they know, you assume they know, and they don't. And it is, for very young families, learning about the WIC program, when we spoke with them, I didn't realize all that they are involved in. They aren't just, I did know, of course, that they helped out with, food, nutritionally. I didn't realize that they also educate so much, and so they go so deep of education as far as nutrition goes, because families need to know. It is difficult sometimes to make ends meet or create a healthy meal on a shoestring budget, but there are ways to go about it. We had Mr. Marksman that heads up the farmers market. He's new this year. We had him on, and he's gonna have a smaller scale farmers market available at the event, and he's allowing these WIC vouchers and stuff to be used, which is incredible. I mean, that's such an amazing resource right there that I don't know that everybody knows about. And I hope that they listen to that. I hope that people go, and it's going to be a really, really good event. They did a diaper giveaway last year. The hospital did a year's supply of diapers.
for
which,
the winner.
isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that is.
And this year they're doing 2 of those.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, my
And-
goodness, for people that have had kids.
You're going to
Yeah.
have another baby.
Yeah.
no,
Mary, have another kid.
no, that's okay. We're good.
Well,
but it's incredible.
And I can't stress enough that the whole community needs to be involved. Hillary Clinton started that. It takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Years and years ago, had she spoke of that, and I know it's laughing you say that, but it really is the community. You cannot do this, whether it's the community of the family, the community of the bigger neighborhood, the community of the large neighborhood, the world. Everybody. And I just want to applaud both LaPorte Hospital and
Absolutely.
Franciscan Community Health System. They have been wonderful partners for this community. And I don't know that people really know what they do, because they're not out there bragging about it. I know the Mommy and Me event is being sponsored by the hospital.
Right.
Franciscan puts on events that are open to the public, and just come as you are,
and free.
It's free.
This
It's
is what
just
people don't
totally
understand.
wonderful.
One of the biggest things I think that we've said so many times, but the car seat thing, this is enormous. It's so many different events. The hospital and the fire department team up to do car seat fittings. And if a child is is not in the appropriate seat, they give them one.
I know.
That is amazing to me. I
The
think
student nurses actually help with those.
I love
Because
that.
they're crawling in and out of the cars to get those car seats and make
Like,
sure
that's
they're in the proper
incredible.
way. Yeah.
And I think sometimes people are afraid that they're going to be judged if their child isn't in an appropriate seat, or, they're going to be embarrassed by maybe the seat they have or something. But it's still the safety of your child. And I think it's such a great partnership and a great experience for those student nurses too, by the way, to get a kind of a bird's eye view of what is around and what people are having troubles with, because they may be right out of high school and not have families themselves and know that these struggles are real and very widespread. Certainly not just one or two people in the neighborhood don't know what they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of people that need help, and it's okay. It does take a community. It does take a village. I mean, absolutely. And even if it's just your family, your children, as they grow, are influenced by so many other outside influences. And so what better way to try to make sure that our whole environment is safer, and that the kids know what's out there, and I just think that then those influences might be a little bit safer and their choices might be better, as they...
Do you know about the Cribs for Kids program that the LaPorte County Health Department is
I don't.
doing?
Chat about that.
Well, I do work at the health department, and this is a state-sponsored program that the ultimate goal here is about safe sleep to reduce the incidence of infant death. And so it's Cribs for Kids. You call the LaPorte County Health Department, and you are given a free pack and play. It has an $80 value. The only thing that you have to do, it could be the grandmother, it could be the grandfather, it could be the father, it could be the mother of the pregnant woman, or up until a year after the birth of the baby. You have to sit and listen to a 30-minute talk and demonstration about safe sleep in children. And all they have to do is call
a fabulous Younger Life Live.
Do you know,
yeah, and that's from the LaPorte County Health Department.
the talk alone, I mean, even if they weren't getting a free pack and play, is so important.
It's huge.
Vital.
It's huge.
It really is. It's, nobody thinks it's going to happen. And then these terrible tragedies happen. And to just think that it could be prevented so easily is just, will haunt you the rest of your life, I would imagine.
Everyone thinks it won't happen
That's
to
it.
them, and
That's
we've
it.
all done it. I'm guilty too. You lay the baby down in bed with you for just a second, or you might be breastfeeding and you doze off, there's just so many things that you just don't want to get up and go. And it's an accident that could happen, and to try to not be in those situations is better. How would you have thought that a waterbed could hurt a baby?
Right.
Who would have ever thought that? And we used to lay them right in the middle of the waterbed and put who would have thought pillows are not supposed to be?
It's the pillows and the blankets that I think of, that
every
someone...
baby shower you went to gave you those little bumper pads.
Bumper
And
pads.
you cannot use those now. It's entrapment. So it's just a lot of education that's needed, and it's, if you ever meet me on the street and I teach everywhere I go, and
That's
that's what you
fantastic.
want to keep trying to do. That one little second that you say something may make a difference, and I just think that not just nurses, but all of us have that responsibility. The size of the families are shrinking. Peggy comes from a really large family, a lot of siblings. That's a lot of aunts and uncles for the children to go to. Children don't want to go to mom and dad about some stuff, okay?
That's so true, very true.
And they've got a good aunt or uncle that they can go to. Well, now when you have two people in a family, you have one aunt or uncle, they might live in California. So just that immediate family connection has shrunk over the time span, which is another phenomenon that we're not really used to yet. We thought everyone had that. Well, they don't have anyone else to go to but mom or dad, and maybe it's a divorced home, and it's just, so teaching the children, Younger Life, this is your whole point of this segment, Younger Life, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
I agree.
It doesn't matter
I think
how
it's
old
amazing.
you are.
I have to say, for both of you, it's inspiring, your stories, but also the passion that you both clearly have for the betterment of our community and the education of our community, and these student nurses, really trying to teach them in the right way, and the sympathetic way, with the caring. And I have to say that I appreciate that.
Can I
think
throw
that
something out there
it's
too?
fabulous.
I'm looking for a good president and vice president of the United States.
Yeah.
I think we could have the president and the vice president right here,
I think that would be
people.
fabulous.
You guys are awesome.
I think that would be great.
Will you take the job? Both of you?
I don't know that my
funny.
computer would ever live up. Apparently, I have to know about servers.
Yes.
You have people, though. Come on.
Yeah. Apparently, those people.
Give
Right?
people.
Before we do
Don't
have
worry.
to wrap up, I would love to get some information if somebody is interested.
Absolutely.
How can they get? What's the first step they should take if they're interested in finding out more about the nursing program or any of the programs that P&W has to offer?
Well, any of the programs, just contact PNW. PNW.edu is pretty simple, and just ask to talk to a counselor. Or, if you're in high school, of course, start talking at that level. They should help direct you. But if you're out of high school, then you come in and they'll talk to you. Nursing specifically, we do have a nursing advisor. Her name is Nicole Hartford, and she is she can be found on the website. You can always
785-5439.
5439 is her
Beautiful.
extension, 785. So, and we'll always, talk to people and help them decide whether it's academically the career for them, whether passionately it's the career for them. So many say, I can't be a nurse. I don't like the sight of blood. And I keep saying, well, what do you think we do? Like walk through the streets with our dresses? It's not out. So we don't see blood. It's not, you can pretty much be in nursing whether you like any of that stuff or not, because that's only at little snippets of time. And, it's really, if you want to do it, do it.
And if
try.
you're in high school, I think actually there would be great value in those juniors in high school
Yeah.
having a conversation with Nicole Hartford out on campus so that they know which courses they should indeed take,
Yep.
because there are certain high school requirements in terms of your sciences
Yes.
and some of the English that you must have in order to be considered eligible.
That's a great point.
And a little blunt on this,
Dual
just
credit.
the GPA and what you do in high school is very, very important.
Yes.
And your volunteerism and just some of the other things to get to the next level,
Well-rounded.
especially in this era right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Believe me, it's very
because it
competitive.
is competitive.
It
That's a
really
great
is
point.
competitive.
That's why I was curious how many students you take, because I know that it's a highly sought after program. That's why I was curious what happens then. There whatever you can do to not just academically increase your chances. So I think that's fantastic and a great place to start for anybody. So
Awesome. Well, I think it's been awesome. I think we have to have a part 2 and part 3 on this one.
I think,
Ladies,
well,
I'd like to
honestly,
come
I
back.
think
You
the
guys are
subjects are
awesome.
endless. There's so many things we
Seriously.
could
Right.
get into. The actual program itself and the classes and
Mm-hmm.
the requirements and some of these projects. How cool. I could think of a zillion things we've talked about that
I know.
just you and I have said,
I'm just
hey, I
smiling,
wonder
going,
how this
wow.
happens, thinking, wow, we could have a whole class of researchers.
I think maybe we should take Younger Life on the road. And I know
think
we
that
can
would be
take our executive team and do that. But on behalf of us all at Younger Life and Younger Life Live, thank you, ladies, for what you do
Thank
for
you
our
so
community.
much.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
you guys are awesome, and continued success to both of you. And we look forward to our next meeting together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of us all at Younger Life, I'm Rick Federici.
And I'm Mary Anthony.
AM 1420 WIMS, Michigan City, a Girard Broadcasting Company.
Again?
Yep, and you can help me change the oil.
Can I pour the oil on the engine?
It goes in the engine, not on it. And sure, sweetheart, I got 5 quarts of Valvoline Full Synthetic High Mileage with premium filter